Hello, my name is Emma Tobias. I haven't filmed a video in a minute, but the excuse that I'm gonna give is that daylight savings hit, and it ruined my life, to put it bluntly. To put it not so bluntly, I don't have any energy. But I'm gonna make a video, and I'm gonna talk about a variable load of books that I have read recently. This isn't really a wrap-up. This is just, a ton of books that I have read in the last couple months. And I'm just going to tell you what they are and give you the quickest review that I humanly can, because no one needs to hear me talk for that long. Let's talk about The Case for Jamie. The Case for Jamie is the third book in the Sherlock Holmes series by Brittany Cavallaro. I like these audiobooks. I like the narrator. The guy meaning Jamie narrator, has a voice that pleases me. And I don't know, I like these books. I think there's something like cozy about them while also being dark. I like the fact that they have time jumps. I like the fact in this book you're seeing Jamie deal with his PTSD from all of the crazy adventures that him and Charlotte have gone on. I've just really enjoyed the series a lot, and although these characters are both incredibly selfish people, I still like them, and I have a soft spot for them. It's 6:58 post daylight savings. Okay, next I reread Carry On. I don't know, I listen to this on audio, and I normally prefer audiobooks, like, just generally, but this, I didn't like the audiobook. I didn't like the narrator. Also, this book isn't as good as I remembered it being, so that's a bummer. Okay, I listened to Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I adored Ninth House. To say how much I adored Ninth House would be to say how much I adored Ninth House. I loved this book. I loved the characters. I loved the scary, creepy, dark, real life, but also magically dark setting. I think we all just love reading about places that majority of us will never, experience, will never have the opportunity to have experience. You got Hogwarts and Narnia, and Yale. I really enjoy a setting like this. I like a creepy academic setting. I like a setting that has magical elements in it, but also in the setting, the characters are working to dismantle some long ago understanding of the patriarchy, which I'm not saying this book is doing, but I'm saying that it's like thinking about doing. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very good. Okay, next I listened to The Silkworm. This is the second book in the J.K. Rowling Needs to Just Write Mystery Novels series. Let me tell you guys, also really like this series. I think this is one of those things where, much like the Sherlock Holmes series, you have characters who are fairly well developed and mysteries that are not as interesting, but the characters are very well developed, so you have that going for it, and it just is fantastic. I really like Robin, and I really like her growth in this book. She has a scene where she's driving where I was like, am I into Robin from The Silkworm? Yes, I think I am. Enjoyed it. Next we have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Oh my god. So I had the highest of highs when I, read Ninth House, where I was like, wow, I like the Shadow and Bone series a lot. But this series, this book, this potential series, amazing. And then I reread Six of Crows. I was like, I didn't really enjoy reading it physically, so I'll get the audiobook because it's a full cast audio. And I'm gonna tell you something. You can stop listening to this audiobook and still know what's going on. It's boring. Like, parts of it are very good. Like, the world building is interesting because it's already been built. And the characters are really interesting. And I enjoy their dynamics, but there's something about the plot, meaning the plot, that I don't like. it's dragged, it's slow, it's only interesting every like 50 pages, and this book is like 1,200 pages. So anyway, talking about exciting stories, I listened to Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow. Catch and Kill is about Ronan Farrow dismantling the patriarchy. I'm kidding. It's about Ronan Farrow discovering and reporting and working to report the Harvey Weinstein story. And also he talks about a little bit about the Matt Lauer allegations and story as well. This is about a journalist who is working tirelessly to speak. Something that I really enjoy about Ronan Farrow that I think it's important to note is that he's always centering his reporting on the really incredibly brave victims. He's also supporting and kind of moving towards making sure that the women who worked to report this story are included. I really like that about Ronan Farrow. He's this attractive, rich, white guy who could be like, look at me, I'm such an ally, I broke this story, I'm helping all these women. But he's saying, I did this thing, I worked really, really hard to report it, but can we please give the credit to the women who are sharing their stories? Next, I listened to Obviously by Akilah Hughes. Akilah Hughes is a really funny internet person, and this is her memoir book sort of thing. I think this book is cute. I wish that there had been more to it. By cute, I mean it's tiny. It's a very short book. There's certain chapters that are hilarious. There's certain chapters that are really gripping and interesting, and she's talking about pretty serious stuff. I really enjoyed it a lot. It just didn't like 100% work for me, which is fine. Which makes me go to Dear Girls by Ali Wong, another memoir I listened to. This also, at times, incredibly interesting and serious, and also very funny, but at times also didn't really work for me. Next, I read Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. This is a graphic novel. I feel like everyone read it because #fall vibes. This was really cute. I really liked it. I don't really have much to say. I think Rainbow Rowell can write a cute love story, and I really like Faith Erin Hicks' art style. Moving back into more fall reads, I read The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton. This is a dark fantasy, magical book. I didn't fully enjoy it, but it was short, so you can't hate on that. I found the villain of the story, which is the main character's mother, to be completely one-dimensional in a way that was sort of refreshing, and it's throwback YA 2010 vibes. And also the main character to be absolutely lifeless, which also felt like a very throwback 2010 vibes. I only read, like physically read, like 3 books this whole last like 3 months. I read Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell, the sequel to Carry On, which I really loved. I've decided that I think that maybe Rainbow Rowell books are meant for me to be read instead of listen to an audiobook. Read physically, I should say, because listening to audiobooks is still reading. I liked this a lot. I thought it was super fun. I mean, it's a bunch of British people on a road trip through Middle America, which, you know, entertainment right there. Where's our BBC show? Going to the book that actually may be my favorite book of the year. That's The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. This is the prequel to Practical Magic. Practical Magic is one of my favorite movies, but I didn't love the book, so I was afraid that this was going to fall into that. But the book, Rules of Magic, felt more similar to the movie than it did to the book. If you don't know anything about Practical Magic, this book follows the sisters, the aunts, that take in Sandra Bullock's and Nicole Kidman's characters in the movies. And at that point you see them as, you know, women in their 60s, 70s who are like kind of kooky women, a little eccentric. This shows their entire life and up to the point where they receive the children, their nieces. Nissan. Anyway, this follows them through the 60s and through the 70s and their love lives and the sadness that those bring. I really, really love this. This has magical elements in it. It has a cozy element, but it's also incredibly sad and interesting. It gave me like a mixture of practical magic, obviously, but also a little bit of Daisy Jones and the Six vibes. It was really beautiful. And if you like stories about women and sisters and doomed love and historical fiction and magic, this is the perfect book for you. Also, has a queer love story. Can't go wrong with a queer love story. I loved it. Next, I read My Plain Jane. I loved My Lady Jane, which is the first book in this sort of Jane series. I think it's a really fun idea to write a bunch of alternative histories of famous women named Jane. That one followed My Lady Jane Grey, and it was delightful. This one follows Charlotte Bronte in Jane Eyre in what must be called the strangest, most bizarre book that I have read in a while. This is a book where you have Jane Eyre. She's a real person. She's friends with Charlotte Bronte, and that's where Charlotte Bronte gets the inspiration to write Jane Eyre. Fine, fair, makes sense, that's fun. But Jane Eyre can see ghosts, and there's a ghost fighting division of the Crown, but they lost funding? There's a level of bureaucracy in this book that I wasn't expecting, nor did I enjoy. Has one of the most generically boring main love interests that I've read in a while, who Charlotte Bronte gets with. I hated it. I mean, purely, deeply hated it. The narrator for the audiobook was great, and I feel bad because this book wasn't very good. I enjoyed really nothing about it, which sucks because one of my favorite books ever is The Eyre Affair by Jasper Fforde, which is talking about Jane Eyre in a pretty, you know, central way, but this was just not good. Okay, 3 more books to go. I read The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. I'm rereading the entire Bridgerton series by Julia Quinn. It's a historical fiction Regency era romance series because they're turning it into a Netflix show produced by Shonda Rhimes and her production company, and involving a lot of great actors, including Julie Andrews. So pretty pumped. I loved this series when I was growing up in high school, and this one was fun. It follows the oldest Bridgerton daughter and a very controlling man. I forget how controlling men are in early 2000s romance novels, especially historical fiction. I'm hoping it gets better. I'm currently reading the second book, which follows the oldest Bridgerton brother, and it's so far better, but not great yet. I'm still excited about the show, and I'm gonna read them all. Next, I read my least favorite book of the year, maybe. I don't know if that's true, but I really hated it, and that's American Royals. American Royals is about a world in which America has monarchy, which sounds fun in a way, but in another way sounds bad. At one point, the author tries to make a claim that democracy is a stupid idea because bad people, she's basically saying like Donald Trump, will become president because they're egotistical maniacs. So they should have a monarchy because of nepotism. I get what she's trying to do, but she didn't do it well. Especially with an election coming up. I think that's problematic. I hated it. I hated it. It's like, should be great because I love a bit of drama. I love a bit of CW drama. And there's a level of just like, oh my god, I'm in love with you, but you're in love with my sister, but you're in love with this, like a lot of love stories that can't happen. But every character was so two-dimensional. The only character that was like, had some merit was the main character, Eleanor, who I thought was interesting. Because anybody named Eleanor in a book tends to be like a steely lady, and I kind of dig that, but I didn't like this book. And finally, yesterday, I finished Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I hadn't read Crooked Kingdom, and although I still stand by the fact that you can stop listening for 10 minutes and not miss anything, I like this much more. All I have left to read in this whole like Grishaverse is King of Scars, which I'm gonna read physically because I'm sick of using my Audible credits to listen to these same 8 narrators. Kaz Brecker's narrator is the worst one, which sucks because he's such a good character. Anyway, I read a lot of books and you just heard about them. Have a lovely day.